I am with Danny and Tracey. You guys, Netflix has been on fire. They have been putting out some of the wildest documentaries. By the way, you guys, I was just on Trainwreck storming Area 51 with Netflix. So, we're all in good company. But today we're joined on TSFS by Danny and Tracey. You may remember them from season 8 of the wildly popular show Biggest Loser. But it is now a documentary going behind the scenes, kind of really, you guys, all the toxic shit that was happening on that show for 17 seasons, on a new documentary that is out right now on Netflix called Fit for TV. Danny and Tracey, I am so glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to be here too.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. You guys were both on season 8 of Biggest Loser.
Yep.
Yes.
How did you two decide, hey, you know what? I have watched this show and this looks fun? Because I'm going to be honest with you, from season 1, it looked like torture. It looked like hell. So what made y'all 8 seasons in go, you know what? This show is for me.
Let's do it.
It looked interesting. It didn't look fun to me. So, but my wife started watching it, and I hadn't realized it. I didn't realize it till the end of the show when she said, my prayer group was praying you'd get on that thing. And I just was watching it and hoping that you would, your eye would catch it. She never did tell me that, but I would walk through the living room and she'd be watching it and I'd be like, what is this? And I really did think, I was like, they're making fun of fat people. So I was very offended. But then I sat down like the third or fourth time through the living room going back and forth. And I sat down and said, okay, I got to watch this. So they were in a challenge, a physical challenge. And of course, I'm armchair quarterbacking going, it ain't that hard. It can't be that hard. Come on. I could do that. Then I looked at my wife, though, suddenly, because I remembered between my sophomore and my junior year in high school, I left at 240 pounds or 250, and I went back at 165 3 months later. And I went, I can lose weight quick. I can do this. And I go, and I've lost 20 pounds 100 times, which is 200 pounds. I just need to do it all at once. And I can't, this would be like going in the army. So that's why I really wanted to get on. I said, I think I could do this show. I wasn't excited about all the workouts because I knew how tough it was going to be, but that's kind of the skinny on how I got interested in it.
Wow. Tracey, how'd you end up signing up?
I used to eat ice cream and watch everybody work out. So that was my thing. I think it was on Tuesday night. That was like my guilty pleasure. And I would DVR it so everybody was asleep. And I would just sit there and just eat away. But I will say on a Saturday, I'd never thought about trying out for the show. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, wow, I could really lose some weight on this. Could I really do this and change my life? And it was Saturday night and Allison Sweeney popped up on the TV. Do you want to be on The Biggest Loser? And I'm like, standing there yes, I do. Almost like she's looking at me and talking to me. And then I jumped online and saw that they had a casting call in Dallas. And the very next morning I was standing in line.
Dang. Wait, did either one of you win that season?
Yeah, I won. Yeah.
You won. How much weight did you lose total?
239 pounds in 6 months, 3 weeks, and 5 days.
Wait, how much money did you end up winning?
$250,000. And I really thought, I felt jilted because I was like, Survivor, they're there for 40 days of extreme camping and they won $1 million.
That's so true, Dan. I never thought of it like that. You should have won $1 million. You deserve it.
Dang it.
So you were actually kind of upset with the money. You're like, really? Because after taxes, it's like 150, 175,000. You're like, oh.
No, it changed my life. It really did. That kind of money, I'd never seen that kind of money before. So it was a blessing for our family. We had the best. It ended on December 8th, and we had the most amazing Christmas that year. I'll tell you that. My kids were blessed. My wife was blessed. I was blessed. It was good.
You guys, the documentary looks like it leans into, of course, right? Because, we want to know all the nitty gritty, but it looks like it leans into that the show was really toxic behind the scenes. That, at least in the previews, there's you guys were allegedly given caffeine pills. I don't know, was Bob Harper a nightmare at the time or just on the preview? Poor Bob.
I didn't think that the documentary actually dug really too much into the nitty gritty of the behind the scenes stuff. I told a lot more in my interviews that
Mhm.
didn't make it. So I think that, and when I say nitty gritty, I'm not talking about, I just think about stuff that the fans would probably want to know. Just some of the things like, what were we doing in the kitchen? How did we prepare our meals? Where did the trainers meet with the different teams individually? Just things like that. There were things behind the scenes that I didn't think were shared that I do think that the fans are going to want to know. So maybe there'll be more. I don't know.
Okay, specifically what? Like you said like scenes in the kitchen, but what was like one of the biggest reveals you gave and you felt like they cut out?
It's not like a reveal that's given. It was just something that I did for myself personally. And I don't know if it's like this Biggest Loser reveal at all. It's not like it's dirty. But in the laundry room was attached to the training room. And I wasn't privy to all the meetings that everyone else was having. I was by myself. I was isolated a lot. And I knew that they were talking about me. And I never knew like what was going on. And I felt like I was so in the dark about everything. So one of the camera guys had like little media screwdriver and stuff on the side of his waist. And I'm like, can I borrow your screwdriver? I'm like, I want to fix my battery in my something in my room, like my alarm clock. And he's like, sure. I sat there like I was on Shawshank Redemption and just dug a hole to get to the other side so that I could hear.
You were
So
drilling
they're
holes in the
having,
wall.
yeah,
Wow.
I drilled a hole in the wall. So they're listening. I mean, they're taught, mind you, I didn't find out anything dirty that I needed to, I didn't find out anything during those meetings that did anything for me. But for me, it gave me some clarity on like they really do hate me. I am just going to take care of myself. Okay, I can do this.
Wow. Danny, what did you like for you? What was, do you think the documentary is accurate?
Oh, I think it's accurate. I think it's pretty well rounded.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of drama. I mean, there was drama. I mean, there was a time, and I never said I hated you, Tracy.
I know
When we
you
were
didn't.
walking
I know you
up,
didn't.
Tracy did a lot of extremely strange things at the time because we didn't know what was going on with Tracy. Even the contestants didn't. And so, and my partner roomed with Tracy. Well, she split us up and didn't put us on the same team. And I remember walking up, and you were walking down from an interview, and I said, Tracy, I love you, but I'm really mad at you right now because I couldn't say I hate you. I didn't hate you,
Yes.
but there were things that happened that yeah, there are a lot of things that happened the public didn't know. When we were on teams, we used to take our batteries out of our packs. We'd run under the tree and take batteries out so we could make plans. And boy, the show didn't like that because they wanted to hear everything. And they wanted that stuff. And they'd say, you can't do that. Go put your batteries back in. But
Or the time that Liz and I were so hungry, we're literally climbing the tree on the trail, eating fruit at night. I mean, seriously.
So, wait, like,
yeah,
there's been so much, I mean, so much fodder about this show since it ended. And we were talking about
yes.
had like a 17 season, 18 season run, which is like wild. But are those rumors true? In like the preview, did they give you guys caffeine pills? They give you diet pills? Like, was there a lot of cheating behind the scenes? Whereas we, the audience, thought, oh, they're really just like working out, limiting their diet, getting in a mental mindset with Jillian and Bob. But were they cheating behind the scenes?
Most of it was the mindset and just working your tail off and eating the right stuff because they let you eat as much as you want. We made grocery lists and they packed that kitchen full of food, and you could easily gain weight on the ranch if you wanted to eat that much. Um, but one of the big, I mean, what I think was controversial, what I think would be controversial is it's not, when somebody exerts themselves until they throw up. I'm a land surveyor now, and I've been a land surveyor my whole life, but I run crews, and right now we're like, don't get heat stroke, man. That's dangerous stuff, and we have had people get injured by getting overheated. Well, we were constantly doing that in the gym, and I always wondered why are is this can't be safe, but we survived. I will tell you that, but for us, I think that overall the show was what it was, and we can't say what happened on other seasons. Everybody has their own experience. For me, um, There was a time that I was offered caffeine. They were called stackers. I looked them up because I didn't know what they were, but I remember the color. They were blue and yellow, and I remembered that when I Googled it one day, I saw the box and I go, "That was it." And they said it was approved by the trainer, and the trainer said, "Hey, giving them one of those a day is better than them drinking 9 cups of coffee, and it's the same effect. So what's the difference?"
Yeah, because there was no coffee on the ranch. I remember every once in a while they would do like a run out. You could go get coffee. I'd never had coffee before until I actually went on the ranch. But I only had it like one time, I think, when I was there because they didn't allow it. It wasn't allowed. So for me, I didn't have any, no one gave me any kind of drugs when I was there. But what happened on other seasons, I have no idea. I
Yeah.
remember eating too many vitamin C pills because I thought it tasted good. I mean, they had those little orange chewables. I'm like asking the trainer, I was like, can I have more than like two of those? Because they felt like they just tasted so good. And when I was talking about Liz and I eating fruit, yes, you could eat everything you wanted in the kitchen. I mean, yes, we had healthy food. So I just remember that just being a time that we would go out with like, oh, we're going to go get a piece of fruit off the tree because it was fun. I mean, what are you going to do? You got to
Um,
have some joy.
One of the big things that people have talked about with this documentary is like they used to yell at you guys like a lot, right? I mean, that was very like early aughts, television, everything was much harsher. We had Simon Cowell, I mean, what do you guys, looking back, do you think that was right? Do you think that was wrong? I mean, it makes for fabulous television, of course, when they're in your face, but I mean, psychologically, did that have a lasting impact or not that much for you two?
For me, it absolutely is a lasting impact. I
Okay.
wasn't with Bob and Jillian enough to get the brunt of them in your face. I did have them in my face. It was more so Jillian once she was able to get a hold of me, so to say. But I came from a world of yelling and a lot of abuse in that area. And so that personally to me is not something that was effective. It actually made me nervous. Every time I walked in the gym, I had really bad anxiety. Anytime I would see Bob and Jillian, I had major anxiety because I was worried that that's the way that they were going to treat me. And so that was hard for me when I was there because I was scared that that was going to happen. That is not effective for me, but for other people it might be. And something I really think was great about the documentary is how Aubrey said, oh, we can just yell at you and you did it. And I think Allison Sweeney even said that too in the documentary when you were yelled at, but you did it. Okay, but is that the right way? And I'm going to say absolutely no. My trainer today does not yell and scream at me at all.
If I can chime in, um, that's an amazing. You just lined out a lot about a perspective of it. I was a football player and I got yelled at my whole life on the field, get over there now, what are you doing? So some people I think are motivated by that stuff and it would motivate me, you know. What motivated me more was when there was a time in the gameplay when my team was conspiring to I was expendable. They wanted me out and they were throwing weigh-ins to try to get me where they could vote me out. And that motivated me because I said, if I fall below, or even if I don't fall below, and they throw a weigh-in and the blue team wins, then they're going to vote me off unless I lose more weight than anybody else on the ranch and I get immunity. So like literally for like 3 weeks, I won immunity every time. And that's the only reason I was saved. But that's the kind of stuff that motivated me. The yelling and things, it motivates some people. And that's why there's different trainers out there you can go, get, but I don't think it's necessary. I like encouragement better than yelling.
Yeah, right.
No, they wanted to vote you out, Danny, because they knew that you were going to continuously lose a lot more weight. That's what they were
Yeah.
doing.
But it is a show. I mean, you gotta, you
Yeah.
gotta, you gotta be entertaining. So,
Totally.
Well, right. I mean, I don't think the show would work today, but now, and obviously we have
right.
Ozempic and other things, right? But I mean, at the time, that was sort of the MO for reality TV. A lot's
Mhm.
been made leading up to this documentary about Bob appearing and Julian not. And Bob is portrayed in the trailer as kind of being unapologetic about everything that he did. So, what was he really like? And does he come across as a dick in this documentary?
Bob is Bob.
Okay, well,
Bob can be diva-ish at times, and but yeah, he can be a little bit rub you the wrong way. Um, Jillian can be loud and crazy and jump on you and get on your shoulders when you're doing things, and but that's just what she did. I don't know why Jillian wasn't on there. I know I kind of figured that Bob would be. And I don't know. Bob, I never had an real issue with Bob on the show because he was my trainer for a time. And then, because they trained both of us on that season 8, we didn't have just one trainer. Got to train everybody. So there were times when Bob really helped me. There were times when Bob really made me mad. There were times when Jillian helped me. There were times when Jillian made me mad. What happened between them, I can't tell you. I don't know.
Tracy, what are your thoughts?
I don't know them well at all. I mean, yes, when you watch a certain point of the show, I was able to choose teams and I'm like, oh, I have this connection with Bob. I had no connection with him. I said that because it was good for TV, but I had no connection with him. I also didn't have a connection with Jillian. I was actually deathly afraid kind of both of them, only because of what I'd seen in previous shows and I was so sick at the time. Um, I just going back and seeing now the things that they said about me, and I know a lot of it was saying that about TV. Um, I was with Dr. Huizinga. I was with Sandy Crum, who was the trainer. We also had other trainers that came onto the show. So Bob and Jillian may not have been there they only there like one day a week, and that was just for That was just for TV for them to film. There were
Yeah.
other trainers that were there, and I got to know them very well. And but I don't know them well to comment on that at all. And when you ask, they're that's what's their job. That was a part of his life for over 10 years. So, the show is going to be how the producers allow them to make it happen. And that's what happened.
Uh,
And it worked.
So one of over the years, right? Like you guys, they bring up your pictures and articles and they're like, let's look at how many of the biggest losers actually kept their weight off. And I think it's like ends up being 5% out of all the contestants. And I don't even remember how many hundreds of contestants or whatever there was. And a lot of people have argued, if they had gone to like mindful eating therapy, if they'd gone to like real therapy, they would have been better off than doing this show. What can you guys speak to that? Why you think so many of the contestants gained their weight back? And do you think a gentler approach would have helped you all long term?
The study that we were in with the NIH, I believe it. I really do. I've done it. I've watched my body move in different directions over the years. Knowing that we have to have a less calorie count than someone else because of what our metabolic standing is right now. It is different. And I've done, what is it? What do they call it? The RMR test, Danny, the resting metabolic rate. I've done that. I've done it post, to see like what should I be burning at a resting rate. So, those things I do believe in. The study that we were a part of, I do believe in the study.
Which, wait,
Um,
can you tell the audience what was the study by NIH? What was it?
the study, Danny, do you remember the name of it?
It was about metabolic adaptation,
Okay.
and season 8 was the only season that was ever tested. They tested and they had us drink heavy isotope water and really monitored how our metabolism moved these heavy isotopes through our body, and that measured your metabolic rate on a very, very exact level. And they did it at the beginning of the show. We didn't know why they were doing it, but they did
Yeah,
it.
we didn't know.
And then they did it when at the end of the show, and then they did it again 5 years later. And what they found was that our metabolisms, of course, when we lost weight, our metabolisms adjusted and slowed down until it hit a certain point. Now, that point normally it would rebound and go back up a little bit and then steady out. Ours didn't. Ours kept going down. In
Kept
fact,
plummeting.
people who got gastric bypass did the same exact thing ours did as they were losing, but once they were done, they rebounded. We didn't.
Mm.
The study was so it's like, how do we know what our bodies are doing? Wow, they did a study about it. So even in the documentary, they're like, oh, you only had 14 people that were a part of the study. but there were still 14 people. We were a part of that. And I believe the
Hmm.
research, we worked really closely with NIH, with Dr. Hall, even with Dr. Huizinga, and some of the things, he talked about as well. He didn't like some of the things that were happening. But, I believe a lot of that study, and it really gave me clarification as far as what I am intaking in my body on a daily basis. Where a woman my age may be able to eat 1,500 to 2,500 calories and be at a resting time and not exercise at all. For me, I need to move my body, or I am going to gain weight just from eating a regular caloric intake of 1,200 to 1,500 calories.
Okay,
And
so
then
that's yeah.
it was called persistent metabolic adaptation 6 years after the Biggest Loser competition. So that's what the study's called.
Okay, so when you are
Um,
sort of predisposed to being overweight, sometimes you carry these genes, which what you're saying is
Yes.
like you kind of have to eat less food, but you have to move more. But I mean, did it talk about like the problem with The Biggest Loser was you guys like caloric intake was restricted. You had to do all this exercise in a short, very controlled environment. Then you go back to living your real life, and it's impossible to keep up that way of life, right? I mean, you got kids, you got work, you're going back to real life, right?
right.
For working out eight to
I
10 hours a day is not reality. I will
Right.
say, Danny, his caloric intake was different than mine. He was under probably the trainer's orders, I would assume, Danny. I mean, you did win the show. Under the trainer's orders and Dr. Huizinga together, as to where I was strictly under Dr. Huizinga. I was eating
Wow.
2,500 calories. I had someone who sat with me I had a person that pretty much was called my handler while I was there because I was so sick when I was there.
Wow.
And that their job was I had to drink these, high caloric drinks while I was there just to keep my caloric intake up because I was so sick, but I still lost weight. So.
You
You're
know,
hot.
and that's yeah. Tracy stunned everybody because she did. I mean, and she would say, "Danny, let me do your dishes. I gotta move." They wouldn't let her exercise in the gym, so she'd go, "Let me do your dishes. I'll take your dishes. I'll do your
I
dishes."
clean
She
that whole
moved.
house constantly,
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
all
But
day.
Dr. Huizinga came in the very first day and said, "Danny," or he didn't say Danny. He's talking to all of us. He said, and you, I don't think you were there because you were at that time. You were in the hospital.
Probably.
But he
Oh,
said,
I know the talk though. I remember the talk. I got one
yeah,
too.
but he said, I'm going to tell you amount of calories to eat a day, and it's going to be the right thing. He said, now there are other people in this house that might tell you different, but they're not telling you the right thing. Just know that I'm telling you the right and healthy thing to do. And I ended up at 800 calories a day, and I think I was the first contestant at that time, first man that they ever lowered down to 800 calories, that they ever
Oh.
said to do that. And 800 calories a day, burning 8,000 a day, that's crazy.
You're like lucky you didn't have a massive heart attack. That is effing wild. Okay, you guys both look amazing. Where are you at with your you do. You look fabulous. I mean I hate to ask this question, but I know the audience is thinking it. Like, okay, did you all keep your weight off? Like, where are you now compared to the show? I mean, who cares
That
about
is
the
such a
weight? But
loaded question, and it's the right way as
bitch
to why this
question too.
documentary is coming out because
I know.
it is hard, and we are it is a TV show. It just happens to be about our weight, of course. So we see people all the time. They're like, "Oh, so and so, did they keep their weight off?" Or they look at you and say, "Oh, you are a little bit heavier than you were before." I am not going to be 100 and nothing pounds wearing a size zero like I was in the finale. I live a very healthy life. I take care of myself. I eat well. I have a trainer. I exercise and move my body. But I am not going to be or look what I did on the finale of The Biggest Loser, nor am I exercising 8 to 10 hours a day in order to maintain that. Because I will tell you, I tried when I came home. I tried to keep that exercise regimen up. I lowered my calories. I did everything possible years later after The Biggest Loser. And when you asked a question earlier, and I definitely want to talk about that if we have time, if there had been an aftercare program, I really think that the testimony of success would have been so much better.
Mm.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah. As for me, yeah, I started at 430, ended up at 191, and I'm nowhere near 191 now. I was 191 for a hot minute,
Like
and
2 weeks.
maybe 2 minutes. But same thing. I kept a plethora of the weight off for about 3 to 4 years, a lot of it. I kept it off. And I was speaking. I mean, that's all I did for a living for like 5 years was speak, 4 or 5 years. But as time went by and as I got older and was in my mid 40s to going into my upper 40s, yeah, I was trying to work out like I did on the ranch, but I would get injured. Like all of a sudden these injuries happened, and then then I had open heart surgery when I was a few years ago. It's just not going to happen. So you can't, like Tracy said, you can't keep that up, and that is an absolute. I mean, we were working out 7 to 8 hours a day. It's just you
Oh
can't
my
do that.
God, in such a
For,
controlled
yeah.
environment. Yeah. I have two
For me
last
as a woman, the hormones played a huge role for me. As I got
questions.
older, my body changed, I
That's
changed,
true.
and I trying to figure out like you're is constantly chasing something, and then you realize like that is not attainable to keep chasing. You need to figure out what works for you and what's better. And you may need some help to do that. I have an obesity doctor that I see at Harvard in Boston. And I see her every 6 weeks. I have a nutrition class that I do just to stay accountable with that because I am someone who was an obese person for a really long time. And I need to make sure that I have accountability with that. And I think that's where people need to look at themselves. What works for you? What is best for you? And if you need some help, by golly, go get it.
Which, of course, the show at the time when you guys were on, they never looked that micro, right? I mean, they never really, yeah, right, right. Okay. Two last questions. Do you guys, you just talked a little bit about it, but in hindsight, do you regret it? Because, I mean, like you said, you still have people to this day come up and ask you about people. Did they lose? I mean, it's kind of sometimes like a big burden to carry. Do you regret it?
I do not regret it at all. I know I had a grave accident when I was there. I was really injured and I was very sick, but I do not regret it. I completely am a different person than I was. When I died on the beach that day, I came back somebody completely different.
Wow.
And it changed my entire life. It changed the trajectory of my life. And for that, I'm super thankful for. And I don't think I would have had
Wow.
the, I know I would not have had the strength or the confidence to be able to make some changes in my personal life if I hadn't have been a part of the show and went through something so drastic. It just made me a stronger person on the end. And I'm super thankful for that.
It's amazing.
For me, I wouldn't change a thing. They say, would you do it again? I'd do it again. It'd be a little different. And Dr. Huizinga even says you can't have a reality show about losing weight and it'd be healthy. You could have a reality show about body composition and weight, fat loss and muscle gain and these kind of things, and you could make it healthy. I'd like to see. I'd like to see. I would have liked to see that come around. I reached out to the producers when I started. I was still keeping my weight off, and I was looking at other contestants, past contestants, gaining the weight back and struggling. And I said, I called one producer up specifically and said, we need to get an aftercare program here. We need to get people some therapy and recovery and in different things. I mean the Biggest Loser was making billions of dollars. No, not millions, billions. And it wouldn't cost that much for the 350 or so contestants they had to give them the help they needed for a few years. And I was pretty much, that's not exciting. It's not going to work. I
Yeah,
mean,
they
it's not to
promptly hung
me.
up on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of giggled and said, "You got to live your own life." One of them said, "What am I, your parents? Go, you got to live your life."
But what a
I'm like,
testimony that would have been if something like that had been in place. I don't think I've actually either everyone realized we were really broken people before we came there. And
mhm.
it was our job to become unbroken. And the show didn't do that. We did that ourselves. We just had an
So,
opportunity to do something different. And that's really what we did. So when you ask that question, like, oh, would you have done this again? I don't know if I would do that this present day now that I know so much about myself now. But it really gave you a deep dive being by yourself and taking care of yourself in a way that you'll never have that opportunity again.
mhm.
You guys, last question. Did a lot of people end up hooking up on your season? Because I don't know. I mean, if you can't eat and you're hungry, like you might as well have sex. Like, did anybody like I don't know,
Girl,
I could have been like, okay, I'm starving here, so let's have sex. Like anybody or did you guys
I
ever
am
I,
not I am not divulging any dirtiness on my
I know of a few.
end.
I know of a few things that happened. Not with me. I know of a few things that happened with others. But I mean, Daniel and Rebecca got married,
They got married.
and
Were they season 8? I know there were some relationships. Were they season 8?
yes,
And we
and
lost Daniel.
Alexandra and Antoine got together after they went home. So
They have a baby. They have a baby.
But yeah, I heard telltale of things happen. They had cameras everywhere except for the bathrooms, and the laundry room, and I heard of telltale things happening in the laundry room and different things. But who knows if they were true, right?
I know some stuff in the laundry room.
Well, what
I
happened?
know.
Who hooked
I'm
up?
not telling anything.
No, wait, did Daniel pass away?
Yes.
Yes,
From
Daniel,
what?
Yes.
Oh,
He had
leu-
leukemia.
leukemia.
Oh my God, break your heart. Okay, so these guys were like getting it on I love it. And
They got married.
okay, so
Rebecca
they
and
were
Daniel
like
got married. Yeah.
hooking up. Were the producers hooking up with cast members your season?
No, the not that I know of. The rule was what they say, no sexual contact. I can't remember how they put it. Maybe they put it. I don't know the word. It's going to sound really bad. No organ to organ contact or something.
Organ to organ.
That was a rule.
I know,
You
I
kicked
know
off the
some
show if
after
you found
party
out about
stuff, like after party, like finale parties. We would go to the finale parties, and yeah, there was some hookups.
it.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my God. Yeah, I mean, please. I mean, if you're like starving, nothing will get your mind off of food than like having sex. Like you can't, it's hard to think about eating and then be doing that. So that's great. Okay, so people were hooking up. That's great. Sounds like the producers didn't hook up with anybody your season. Jillian and Bob were only there like one day, so I don't know. So Bob didn't hit on you, Danny. Like, no, okay. I didn't get
He
with
might
you.
have, but
Like
sometimes
some dirt. I love it.
I want to
sometimes
start,
I'm
yeah.
oblivious. My wife will tell me, like, we'll be out and she'll go, that person was flirting with you. And I was like, no, they weren't either. Yes, she was. She goes, you're just oblivious. So Bob might have hit on me. I don't know.
I do that. I know, right? I want to know. Yeah, I want to know if Jillian and Bob hooked up with contestants. Like, why not? You guys all looked so hot. I mean, I'm telling you.
Thank you.
Who knows?
All right. Well, what a terrific documentary. We've been waiting for this one. Fit for TV is the doc. It's out right now on Netflix. Covers The Biggest Loser, 17 seasons. Unbelievable show. A lot of controversy. So I can't wait to see you guys and get a well-rounded opinion. Wishing you all the best. Thank you for being brave and sharing your stories today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Sarah,
Thanks so much.
My daughter loves you. I'm supposed to tell you that.
What?
My
Oh
daughter
my
Elena.
God.
She's like, Mom, I know her. I listen to her podcast.
Oh my God. Tell her I said thank you so much. And she's going to listen to this episode for sure.
Oh, absolutely,
Oh
absolutely.
my God. I wish I had more time with you guys because I want to hear more about your, like, what you discovered yourself in your journeys. But I know you guys have a lot of press, but you tell her thank you for listening to the show.
I will do that.
I'm so excited about this doc. I love it.
Thank you for having us. We really appreciate it. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Be safe. Congratulations on everything.